Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, we review the week. Some of the issues we're going to be looking at. One, the debate in Parliament, a motion to suspend Prime Minister Mama Mbabazi and Minister Hilary Onek is tabled in Parliament, is moved. We'll look at that, what its possible ramifications could be. The state of the economy and the latest projections. President Museveni is optimistic, upbeat about the economy. Central Bank governor says he might introduce a 100,000 shilling banknote. We'll look at the implications of that. And the threat against 17 independent members of parliament who ostensibly would have crossed the NRM. We'll look at what that could mean. The Kenya corruption case, Dr. Nabdele dies, and other things. On Spectrum tonight, our guests, Hon Abdi Fadhil Chemaswet, KWEEN County Member of Parliament, who moved the motion to suspend the named members of Parliament. We expect him to join us shortly. Mr. Nyago, Deputy Principal Private Secretary to the President, we expect him, he's on his way. And Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party. You're most welcome, Mr. Mayanja.
Good evening, listeners and viewers.
Viewers, because we're also on the internet, you can see a Spectrum video of YouTube at any time when you want to. Mr. Mayanja, let's look at the debate in Parliament. A motion to suspend Prime Minister Mbabazi and Hilary Onek, the Internal Affairs Minister, was moved by Hon Chemaswet. The motion is based on a feeling by a cross-section of MPs that the two have acted in contempt of Parliament by refusing to step aside in line with the resolution of Parliament, which was passed unanimously. Now, unlike previously in the oil sector debate, this time the House was divided on the matter, and most especially what exactly is contempt of Parliament. Now, we know that the matter has been referred to the Committee on Rules and Privileges, which is supposed to report back in 2 weeks' time. What do you think is likely to happen?
Well, we only hope that Parliament is going to really uphold their rules. And we have to remember that when Parliament sits, it acts as courts. And at one time, I think you have heard somewhere else that people have come before parliamentary committees. But because Parliament sits as court, some people have been arrested and detained. So if you are in contempt of court, then definitely you know what it means in law. And the good thing is that the Honourable Prime Minister is a lawyer. He knows what it means to be in contempt of court. And but what is more important is that this issue is not for the entire Parliament now. It is supposed to be handled by the committee you have talked about, the Rules, Privileges and Discipline Committee. I hope the members there are independent. They will look at this issue and then report back to Parliament. But otherwise, it is going to make the horse and the whole saga is going to make Parliament very, very, very just barking dog that is known to biting. I thought that the ministers would have borrowed the leaf from the two other colleagues of theirs, Honorable Nasasira and Honorable Sam Kutesa, who said they were stepping aside because they are being charged before court. They have already said that they are innocent, but they said for the good of government, for the good of Uganda, we are stepping aside until the due process of the law takes its course. I thought that even these ministers, we may agree with them or disagree with them. They may say they are guilty or not guilty, but I think it is very important if we are going to build a strong democracy, we are going to build a strong government, we are going to build the strong institutions in this country, separation of power between the executive and the legislature, separation of power between the legislature and the judiciary, that really the executive respects the decisions of the legislature. The Prime Minister, we are not saying that he should just resign. I think he can step aside and say, I will not run the office as the Prime Minister, but I want to give room for investigations. And, the committee to investigate this saga has already been put in place. and I find it really very, very unfortunate that we have reached at this point.
Well, but there's a committee that's already working, investigating these allegations, so why not wait for that to give its findings? 2 months.
Well, definitely, I think the new motion by Honorable Chemaswet is out of frustration. It is true there is a committee investigating these allegations, and I think we should have given it time. But I think when they see that the person did not move, because the resolution that was passed, among others, said that we set up a committee to investigate. Yeah. But the same resolution said that the ministers step aside to give room for investigation.
Right.
So I think they feel really frustrated that the ministers they have not heed to their demands, and this is typical contempt of Parliament.
Well, but some people have said these are forged documents. Why should someone resign on the strength of forged documents?
Well, we shall find that out during the investigation if it is false. I also feel that they should never bring forged documents before a national parliament to be debated, but we should give them a benefit of doubt, because for some people to bring such documents on the floor of Parliament for debate, it means that they have their information. If they don't, then let's give them the benefit of doubt. They will be ashamed, and we shall move from there. And of course, we shall demand that they apologize to having lied to the nation.
An apology when people's reputations have been damaged?
Well, then that is different. That's different. But I think the ministers will come out very strongly if they really humbled themselves. They showed humility. They stepped aside and said, okay, if you are saying that this is the case, though we don't believe that it is true, you are basing on wrong information, you are basing on forged documents, but we are stepping aside and we are going to give this committee room. And I know that if these documents are forged, the committees are going to find these ministers innocent. And if the documents are correct, then we shall be told.
Some of the bribes mentioned were fairly large bribes, 65 billion shillings.
I want to believe that Parliament is above such bribes because they have been paid handsomely. And
but 65 billion is...
I hope that the debate was driven by conviction in Parliament, and that when they are investigating, they are going to uphold that principle of being very impartial and really not being influenced by anybody. Because I think what was started in Parliament was a move to get rid of this country of corruption. And we need really to uphold, to applaud Parliament for starting that. But if they are going to do other things by being compromised by the bribes that are involved in the allegations, then it is going to lose meaning, really.
Let's try to shine a torch in this committee's work. At the end of the work, what do you think they're going to come up with? Because they've complained, for instance, that these people, if they stay in office, it's going to be very difficult for them. What do you think is the scenario going to?
Well, I think they are going to look at the involvement of these ministers in the investigations, whether they are really going to influence the investigation, the results of the committee, the committee reports, and influencing the members because of the positions they have. But I think the more important thing is whether it is not about what comes out of that committee pinning the ministers, but I think it's all about how we observe, uphold the independence and really the discipline in Parliament. If Parliament says this, then you have to do it.
This is Spectrum on Radio, and tonight we are reviewing the week. Our guest in the studio, Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party. We expect to be joined by two other guests, Hon Abdi Fadhil Chemaswet, KWEEN County MP, who moved the motion to suspend ministers from Parliament. We also expect to be joined by Mr. Nyago, Kintu Nyago, Deputy Principal Private Secretary to the President. Mr. Manya, let's look at the state of the economy. President Museveni says, economic growth figures could reach 15%, with the production of oil, which is expected in about 3 years' time, commercial production of oil. The governor of the central bank says if inflation stays high, in 6 months he'll introduce 100,000 shillings note. What exactly is playing out here?
Well, to me, Edmond, is really very simple. This is very simple. Well, the president is trying to depict hope where there is no hope. We have families who are going with only one meal a day. We have families that have failed to meet their medical bills. We have families that cannot have the basics in life. And you are telling us that the economy is going to grow in double figures. You know, it is quite unfortunate. I think the president is out of touch. The economy, or the growth of the economy, should be seen in what it offers. And what should be offered are qualitative lifestyle of our people, qualitative social services to our people. And I don't see this happening. And until that happens, the figures, whether 20% growth, whether 15% growth, will just be a Marade. It will not be anything to talk about. I want to say that we are not, Ugandans should not be after forecasts, and the president is trying to forecast. The Ugandans are looking for a plan of how we are going to fix the bad economic conditions we have in the country today. And you cannot do anything unless you tackle those sectors that employs most of our people. Agriculture. We have neglected agriculture. In the national budget, every year, we give it not more than 5%. The Maputo Declaration say that if you want to improve our economies, if you want to improve the welfare of our people, then invest in agriculture by about 15%. And in Uganda, agriculture employs over 80% of our population. But you invest in there 4.3% of your resources, then you are not doing the work. Unless we concentrate there, then whatever you say that there is economic growth, it is not going to be real. The people will not feel it. It will be, they will start dismissing the president as the Maria Antoinette. Was she Maria Antoinette of Uganda? Yes. Well, who say that, okay, if people cannot afford breads, why don't, well, let them try cakes. The president is not being sensitive.
It's like saying, if you can't afford posho, try spaghetti.
But it's very unfortunate. It is a cruel joke by the president, and I think we need to sit down. The government should really be able to tell us in clear terms so that we have a reason to believe them. But there is no reason to believe the government as far as the economy is concerned.
Well, of course, you predicted double-digit growth. The only double-digit growth we're seeing is inflation. What do you think is the root of this inflation? We've got so many theories. Let's hear from you this time.
Well, I think the president knows what has caused this double-digit inflation. First of all, there is scarcity of money to the common man.
Yes.
But there is inflation. What is causing that? Some people no longer trust this economy. So what they have done, whatever shilling they get, they turn it into dollars.
Yes.
And the dollar keeps going up. With the exception of the recent happenings on the international economic level, that the dollar is really losing its ground, and even in Uganda it has really come down. But the main issue is that the people have the money, no longer there is a trust question in the economy. That the people who have the shillings no longer trust the banks. They keep the money in their homes. And if I was the government, do you know what I would do?
No. What?
I was going to make a very drastic measure in this economy, and I was going
currency reform.
I was going to go for currency reform.
Yes.
And you see all these people running around.
Bring the money from the banana garden.
Yes, bring the money.
Some of them dug holes, put it in a measure.
That's what I would do.
And bury it in the.
That's what I would do. And they will bring it back, then start controlling the economy. That's what I would do. Then secondly, where is the corruption and all this graft we are seeing in the country? You cannot fight inflation. It will remain there.
With corruption?
With corruption.
Yes.
And the president knows that during the past election, and that is what triggered off this
a lot of money in the economy.
He pumped a lot of money in the economy. bought votes from all corners of the country, and he is now turning around and saying, these people, he's pointing fingers. These people are the one causing this, these people are causing this. But of course, your earlier actions are the ones that brought about this problem. And that, we can't get out of here unless you sober up and say, yes, we did this, we need to find solutions together, and then we move forward as a country.
Let's try to look at certain indicators. The shilling has gained strength, 2,500, 26, around about that age. Inflation, food inflation has fallen, which means food prices are going down. But imported inflation is still going up. And yet inflation in the countries which partner with us is not very high. How does that mean? People are still spending, even though...
No, it means that we are spending, but more importantly is that you are not selling much outside. You do not your exports are very bad. I heard a report the other day. There is somebody, I think she's the wife to Muhwez, who is doing export promotion with I think National Chamber of Commerce or something like that.
Chairman of the
Susan Muhwez. Yes, President Agoa. And she was given in the entire year to promote exports in Uganda 5 million shillings.
5 million shillings?
Is it 15? 15 million shillings. The entire year.
That means 1 million a month.
Yes. It means that
it can't buy
you have not really invested much in promoting your exports. Secondly, we need to invest more in processing. In processing our products, in agro-processing, so that we export things that have more value to the foreign market. And there we shall get more dollars in the economy, and it will reduce the pressures on the shilling. But as of now, of course, we are going to have a lot of imported inflation because our balance of trade is very bad.
And bank loans are still growing. They grew by 30% in the last 1 month.
Well, they want bank loans.
Well, people are still
but they have also increased the interest rates.
It's gone up, but people are still borrowing. They're not discouraged.
Yeah, because people are very desperate.
Yes,
they are very desperate that you are telling them they want this, they want the other, but they don't have the money. You tell them that, well, if you go for that money, then the interest rate is going to be 25%, and they say, what can I do? It is I'm between a hard press and a rock.
Yes.
So I have to take this route. I have nothing to do.
This is Spectrum. We're going for a break. We'll be right back. Do stay tuned.
John, Mike, and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special. You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Let the sunlight in.
Good morning, sunshine of my life. You look happy today.
I am. I came in here and I saw there was a whole pile of washing to do.
But I thought you didn't like doing the washing.
No, I love it. Anything else you need washed?
Sunlight 2-in-1 with added fabric softener. Smells so good, you want to use it again and again.
Let the sunlight in.
Sunlight 2-in-1. Sunlight clean, sunlight fresh.
Sunlight in. Happiness is all around. Let the sunlight in.
Is your internet provider turning your world upside down? Broadband Company offers fast and reliable internet solutions. And for the first 100 subscribers this month, we offer zero connection fees. Save up to 400,000. For more information on these offers, call toll-free 0800 222 111. Broadband Company, more than you expect.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on Spectrum. Tonight we are reviewing the week. We've been talking about the debate in Parliament, motion to suspend Prime Minister Mbabazi and Hilary Onek, Internal Affairs Ministers. We've spoken about the state of the economy. President Museveni says, the economy is doing well. The governor of Central Bank says we should have 100,000 shillings. And we've been speaking about that. Our guest in the studio, Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party. We were expecting to be joined by Hon Abdi Fadhil Chemaswet, Queen County MP, who moved the motion to suspend the named ministers, and Mr. Kintu Nyago, Deputy Private Secretary to the President. They've not yet been able to make it. They could come. Mr. Mayanja, the threat against 17 independent MPs, two voters acting through their lawyer, Oyulu and Odonga Oto, and company advocates have dragged 17 independent MPs, including 4 ministers, to court, saying they attended the NRM retreat in Chankwanzi and a follow-up caucus meeting in Entebbe. They say they violated the law and they want these MPs declared to have crossed to another party. Let's look at what it means to cross to another party. When do we know someone has crossed to another party?
Well, the first thing is that we do not know under what criteria they went to Kiankwanzi or to the caucus in Entebbe. But if they went there because they think that they are associated with the NRM without any memorandum of understanding as it is required by law, then they must have crossed over to another party. And if they did that, then the law is very clear. You have joined another party, and the law says that an independent cannot join another party while still serving as a member of parliament. It is going to be an interesting saga, but I hope that they did it well, because 17 members of parliament is really going to be a big political thing, but definitely they made the choice. First and foremost, the independents have their own caucus in parliament. They should have joined the caucus in parliament, the independent caucus. But they decided to go to Kiankwanzi, and they were saying that they went there because this was going to be a national debate where Bank of Uganda, here what, were going to be represented, so they wanted to join the debate. I don't want to buy that argument, because this caucus was invited exclusively
for NRM.
They should have invited the entire parliament to go for that debate. If it was really not exclusive, they should have invited other stakeholders of the economy to go to Kiankwanzi and debate about the state of the economy. But I think the invitation was very particular to members inclined to the NRM party. And if they went there really knowingly that they are attending an NRM caucus meeting, then they joined another party, and they should face the law. We already have a ruling, a Supreme Court ruling.
Yes.
And they should really read it very carefully.
Well, but when do we cross the line? Because they say we don't even have party cards.
You know what happens? How does a person join a party? It is through association. We are talking about freedom of association. And by the fact that somebody who belongs to another party, I remember one time when we were celebrating our, I don't know which